tour and been able to see it and feel it and walk it and get a grasp of the priorities and things we were trying to achieve. I think at the core of this project were multiple things, but at the probably the top two items for us as we zeroed in, as we made some decisions about how to invest, where to focus. A primary objective was to make sure 1 through 15,300 were going to be benefited. We used to be 16 or 16.3, but every single attendee in this building, I hope you all feel that, when you think about the third floor concourse, the fact that roughly 50% of our patrons enter their seats from up there, by taking that mechanical out, opening up those concourses, restrooms, concessions, just the experiential arrival part of this thing, that everybody in the building benefits. It wasn't just about a particular segment, certainly wasn't just about donors, it wasn't just about students, but the beauty, I think, of the outcome is that it does really move the needle for each and every one of our patrons, including every single student that will step foot in here. And then the second part, of course, is what's it going to mean for just the game day environment aspects. And those are the things you can get a sense of, but once we get in here tonight, then here in the next couple of weeks, certainly I think that Carolina game and just a few weeks down the road is going to demonstrate how much more we were able to do with the game day experience, and then of course the student athlete experience, because those are, we want every fan to grow and gain, and we want every student athlete, both men and women, to know that they're playing in, without question, the best basketball building in the world, which I think we stand strong in saying that's exactly what this revitalized Allen Fieldhouse is. So we're proud of it, we're excited. I also would say this, you can try and describe it with all your might, you can send out photos, you can even take a walking tour today when it's empty and quiet, but this is a feel type experience. Like, you could visually see it, you could hear a sound system, you got to feel it to grasp it, and that's, again, what we're so excited everybody's going to get a chance to do in the next few weeks.
Travis, just looking back to when this project started, how excited are you to see tonight and just kind of see some of the reactions?
Well, I mean, listen, there's only one Allen Fieldhouse in the world, and there will forever only be one Allen Fieldhouse. When you say it's the cathedral, it is without a doubt the cathedral, and that's it's a privilege, right, for any of us to have had a chance to work on it, to have had some input in it. It's also pressure, right, where hey, the entirety of a university and a fan base, and frankly the world is watching, so to speak. And so I think for us to feel like we really threaded the needle well about how do you modernize the fan experience, because that had to happen. Like, it just was no debate. This was not a world-class fan experience start to finish, but also do that in a way that pays tribute, pays heed to heritage, to history, to character. That's what we're excited about, and I really think it'll be validated with our fans and our students' experience here in the next few weeks.
What are the main things we'll see for the first time as part of the Washburn game that aren't necessarily part of late night?
Henry, I think just seeing it in the context of a quote unquote normal basketball environment. Late night is super unique, right? There's a particular emphasis around late night that's different from the normal game day environment. So when you think about whether it be men or whether it be women's game, I'm excited about Washburn because that will be people's first true start to finish, real Kansas basketball experience. And it will have all of the authenticity and character that we've always wanted and built and found a way to retain, but it will have, of course, added all these other layers that we're talking about.
Travis, with the corners, can you kind of explain what all goes into behind what we're seeing
The
there?
corners, tough, again, tough to fully, get out and communicate and bring to life again until you walk through. What I hope is that everybody, whether they never get up to that third floor or haven't up until now, I hope they go up to that third floor, fans, students, and they understand where it was, what it was. It was the most crowded, dark, dingy, giant mechanical equipment stacked on top of you. And we made that decision early. We had to get that third level concourse opened up, widened, modernized, lit, and then with restrooms and concessions that everybody deserves. And so that's where the corners came into play. We had to make a value proposition of, are these old bleachers, which have some cool heritage and history and added components to them, is that of more value when we're thinking about 50% of our patrons using that third level concourse. And the reality is it's never been a good seat up there. Now I know there's memories, and I've sat up there as a student and as a fan myself many times over, and there's components of that matter, but it's 2024, 25. Everybody should have a first-class experience, including all of our students, and we don't lose a single student seat in this new configuration. And by taking those bleachers out where students used to have to cram into and adding 2 additional rows on both sides behind the basket, we found a way to keep the same number and dramatically improve the seating. So I love the corners, and I think people have to experience to fully grasp it.
Just expanding on that, how do you think the student experience will be enhanced by moving closer to the court?
Well, you've always kind of been on top of it, but not every student certainly feels like they're right on top of the action. It just affords more people a chance to be on top of and have a greater impact on what's going on in the court, both for our men and our women. So if you went from up there to down here, it's night and day, right? And so I think we're excited for more students to get a better seat in this building.
Where's the special handicap seating?
Yes, ADA. So this has long been one of the least accessible facilities out there. It was built in the early 50s. Accessibility was not a cornerstone at that time. Unfortunately, we wish we could make it world-class 2025 accessible, but you can't with an old building like this and the way the seating's already configured. So we said, we've got to improve upon the limited options down behind the baskets. That was a cornerstone commitment we had. You guys hopefully have seen it. Now we've doubled the amount of accessible seating in the building, and we've distributed advantage points that rival anything. So whether, whatever that handicap or accessibility issue might have been, and the impacts of sitting down low behind the basket and seeing the court now get dramatically enhanced because you're up there at the midsection of the arena, mid-court, corners, and you're able to take in a basketball game in a way that we've never been able to offer. And again, I just emphasize we doubled the number of seats. We're really excited and really proud of that. Added an elevator, which was desperately needed, and so just people getting in the building is going to be a lot more functional and accessible.
Those sort of informational things we saw, like the building and everything, how'd you kind of decide what to do for those?
Yeah, that's hard. I mean, if you think about the history of Kansas basketball, the men certainly, and even the women as well, it's hard to determine who do you really lean in on. That was maybe the only simple conversation we had. There will forever only be one Wilt, and we really think there will forever only be one Lynette. And so Trailblazers, both of them, that's part of that storyline. It's not just their impact on the court. Trailblazers off the court, doing things, breaking barriers that had never been seen before. That was a big part of wanting to really highlight and tell the story of who we think are 2 of the top 10 in combination men and women's basketball players in the history of the game.